Welcome to the Steam channel. We're reviewing the recently delivered Lionel Legacy FEF-3 Union Pacific Northerns in O-scale. We have two iterations of UP844 on hand, which were offered in the Lionel 2023 Volume 2 catalog. Stock 243-1260 is the black iteration, and stock 243-1270 is the gray and yellow iteration. These locomotives feature the latest in Lionel's technology, including 4-digit addressing, Bluetooth control, Lionel voice control, Odyssey 2 speed control, a legacy control system, wireless tether, and electro-couplers. The Union Pacific's FEF series consisted of three classes of northern steam locomotives: the FEF-1, the FEF-2, and the FEF-3. The FEF-3 class were the last of the steam locomotives delivered to the Union Pacific Railroad and consisted of numbers 835 to 844. These FEF-3s were delivered in 1944, and all of the FEF series were converted to burn oil between 1945 and 1946. The class was retired between 1958 and 1959. However, the Union Pacific Railroad kept the last locomotive, UP844, in active service, and the engine remains in service on the railroad's heritage fleet to this day. Let's jump in and take a closer look at these models, starting up at the pilot and smoke box. The swing coupler pilot looks sharp with the coupler cut lever, flagpole stanchions, and hose detail attached to the pilot. The plating below the smoke box is sharp, with handrails running up the smoke box and down the boiler. The UP shield, headlight, and Mars light all look nice. The smoke box dogs can be seen around the access door on the smoke box, along with the door hinges. Above this are the class lights, number boards, and front-mounted bell. Behind the bell you can see the feed water heater. Lionel did a great job with all of this detailing. One interesting design choice was to make the elephant ears removable. I have mixed feelings about this approach. On one hand, the engines really look sexy without the elephant ears, so it's nice to be able to add or remove them at will. On the other hand, you have to fiddle with them so they sit straight on the engine, and from the front view you can see the ears are not quite square on the model. This is more of an OCD nitpick. The removable ears are probably the best way to do it. In this top pan you can see the dual stack, piping detail, whistle, and the smoke box access hatch with a lot of great dog detail. Moving down the boiler, you can see the dome, throttle linkage, safety valves, steam generator, and boiler washout plugs. The cab has the normal rivet detail, vent, grab railings, windows, and window framing you'd expect. These engines both have enclosed cabs with dual doors with added windows. You can see the rivet detail around all the seams and the molded junction boxes for the piping. Through the windows you can see the fireman and engineer figures and the boiler backhead. You can see the radial buffer under the cab, and Lionel did a great job with the injector diffuser and piping, and the firebox detailing. The stay bolt caps, blowdown valves, and all the piping work around the side sheets look really sharp. That's a very important thing to knock out for a UP model. The trailing truck also looks sharp with the brake cylinder and brake linkage, the silver SKF bearing caps, grease lines around the pedestal areas, and heart rockers. Panning down the chassis, the running gear looks great. The box-pock drivers were nice, with even the bosses properly machined out. Polished valve gear and rods contrast well with the semi-gloss black on the boiler and drivers. You can also see the brake rigging, power reverser and linkage, the crosshead, and the polished cylinder covers. One nitpick here was that the valve handles on the mechanical lubricators were left black and not painted red. The same goes for leaving the snifter valves atop the cylinder black instead of chroming them. These are minor things, but it would make a noticeable difference visually. Those are the little things to really dot the I's and cross the T's. The control switches for the locomotive are hidden in a dome which easily lifts off for access. As you can see, two magnets hold the dome cap in place. These are fairly heavy models, so it's nice that you don't have to hunt for switches under the cab as in years past. Overall, this is a very sharp model of the Union Pacific 844. We'll switch over to the centipede tenders next and take a closer look at them. The black really set good on this model. There is a ton of nice rivet detail on the tender body, and the tender chassis is really sharp. Here you can see the front truck and get a close-up of the leaf spring, journal box, spring rigging, and brake rigging detail on the chassis. The tender body is nice, but it seems to be missing a few glaring things that are odd omissions for a model in this quality level. The rear of the tender is missing the body-mounted directional light, which is something really weird to leave off the model. That's a staple item. The access box to the stoker auger gearbox is also missing, and that should be incorporated on the body just under the word Union. Otherwise, this is not a bad iteration of the Centipede tender. The rear tender ladders look nice, as does the light mounted on the rear of the tender deck. Panning over the top of the tender will give you a great view of the handrails, water fill hatches, rivet detail, the oil bunker, and piping detail. Piping detail along the tender chassis was also very sharp, as were the fire hose boxes and front bunker detailing. Let's get one of the 844s out on the railroad and test its sound features. We'll start off with the whistle and the bell.
Heading your way. Make sure everything's good.
These FEFs were recently delivered and are sold out at Lionel. These engines pre-ordered for a lower price, but if you waited, they will cost you $16,19.99 at Trainworld, with the black UP844 going for $1999.99. Trainworld currently has all 6 variations offered on this run in stock, so don't delay if you'd like to add an 800 series Northern to your fleet. We'd like to thank you for tuning in for this O-Scale product review here on the Steam channel. We'll catch you on the rails.